Have you ever wondered how smart, educated people fall for phone scams? You might think you're too clever, too experienced, or too careful to ever be fooled by a stranger's lies. Margaret Thompson thought the same thing. At 75, this retired high school teacher from Cleveland had spent decades teaching students about critical thinking and making smart decisions. She had warned her friends about scam calls, rolled her eyes at stories of people losing their savings, and always said she'd never be that gullible. But one Tuesday morning in March, Margaret's confidence shattered with a single phone call that would cost her nearly everything she had saved for retirement. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how professional scammers target older adults, why even the smartest people can fall victim, and most importantly, how Margaret fought back to reclaim not just her money, but her dignity. Stay with me until the end, because Margaret's story contains warning signs that could protect you or someone you love from becoming the next victim. And the way she turned the tables on her scammers might surprise you. Now let's get started. The call. That changed everything. It was 9:15 a.m. on a Tuesday when Margaret's phone rang. She had just finished her morning coffee and was settling down to read the newspaper when an unfamiliar number appeared on her caller ID. Normally, she wouldn't answer unknown calls, but something made her pick up that day. "Grandma Margaret?" came a voice that sounded young, scared, and slightly muffled. "Grandma, it's me, Tyler." Margaret's heart immediately began racing. Tyler was her 19-year-old grandson, away at college in California. The voice sounded like him, but something was off. It seemed deeper, more strained than usual. "Tyler? What's wrong, honey?" Margaret asked, gripping the phone tighter. "I'm in so much trouble, Grandma. I was in a car accident and I hit someone. The police arrested me and I'm in jail. I need bail money, but please don't tell Mom and Dad. They'll be so disappointed in me." Margaret felt the world spin around her. Her sweet grandson, the boy who had never been in trouble his entire life, was calling from jail. The voice continued. More urgent now. "I need $8,500 for bail, Grandma. My lawyer says if I can get the money today, I can be released and we can handle this quietly. Can you help me? I'm so scared." The hook deepens. Margaret's grandmother instincts kicked in immediately. All logical thinking disappeared, replaced by pure panic and love for her grandson. She didn't question why Tyler would call her instead of his parents. She didn't wonder why his voice sounded different. All she could think about was getting her grandson out of jail. "Of course, honey. Of course I'll help you. How do I get you the money? My lawyer is here with me. He'll explain everything. Just, please don't hang up." The phone was passed to another voice, deeper and more professional. "Mrs. Thompson, this is attorney David Rodriguez. Your grandson is in a very serious situation, but we can resolve this quickly if you act fast. The bails needs to be paid within the next 2 hours, or Tyler will have to spend the night in county jail." Margaret's hands were shaking now. The attorney sounded legitimate, official, and urgent. He explained that because this was a hit-and-run case, the bail money needed to be sent immediately via wire transfer to avoid complications. "I understand. This is frightening, Mrs. Thompson, but Tyler is lucky to have a grandmother who cares so much. Many young people aren't so fortunate." That phrase hit Margaret directly in the heart. She had always prided herself on being the grandmother her grandchildren could count on. She wasn't going to let Tyler down now. "The point of no return," the attorney continued with practiced precision. "Now, Mrs. Thompson, this situation is very delicate. If Tyler's parents find out before we can handle this legally, it could affect his college scholarships and his future. He's asked me specifically to keep this between you and him for now." Margaret nodded, even though they couldn't see her. That sounded exactly like something Tyler would do. He was always trying to protect everyone else from worry. "I'll need you to go to your bank and wire the money to our legal account. Do you have access to $8,500? Margaret thought about her savings account. She had been careful with money her entire life, putting aside small amounts for emergencies. This certainly qualified as an emergency. Yes, I have it. What do I need to do? The attorney gave her detailed instructions. She needed to go to her bank, withdraw the money, then take it to a specific wire transfer location. He emphasized that she shouldn't tell anyone at the bank what the money was for, explaining that legal matters needed to be kept confidential to protect Tyler's case. One more thing, Mrs. Thompson. Tyler's phone was damaged in the accident, so he won't be able to call you back today. But once this is resolved, he'll contact you immediately to thank you. Margaret wrote down every instruction carefully. Her teacher training had taught her to be thorough, and she wanted to make sure she did everything exactly right to help Tyler. The devastating truth. 3 hours later, Margaret had wired $8,500 to an account in Florida. She returned home feeling anxious but hopeful, waiting for Tyler to call and confirm he was safe. But the call never came. By evening, worry overtook her. She decided to call Tyler's parents to see if they had heard from him. When her daughter answered the phone, Margaret could barely get the words out. "Honey, is Tyler okay? I mean, after the accident today?" "What accident, Mom?" "Tyler's fine. He's here with us right now. We're having dinner." The silence that followed felt like an eternity. Margaret's daughter put Tyler on the phone, and when Margaret heard his real voice, younger, higher, completely different from the morning's caller, she knew the horrible truth. She had been scammed. Fighting back, Margaret spent that night, crying, not just for the money she had lost, but for the betrayal she felt. These criminals had used her love for her grandson as a weapon against her. They had studied her emotions, her fears, and her devotion to family, then used every single one to manipulate her. But Margaret was a fighter. She had taught high school students for 30 years and had dealt with every kind of difficult situation. She wasn't going to let these criminals destroy her. The next morning, she called the FBI. Then she called her bank. Then she contacted every local news station and newspaper. Margaret decided that if she was going to be a victim of a scam, she was going to be the most vocal victim possible. The investigation, working with federal investigators, Margaret learned that she had been targeted by a sophisticated operation. The scammers had probably gotten her phone number and family information from social media or data breaches. They knew Tyler's name, knew he was in college, and had studied enough about her family to make the story believable. The Tyler voice had been a young man trained to sound scared and desperate. The attorney was likely the leader of the operation, skilled at creating urgency and providing just enough legal-sounding details to seem legitimate. Most shocking of all, Margaret learned that she wasn't alone. The same group had scammed dozens of grandparents across the country, stealing over $2 million in just 6 months. The breakthrough, Margaret's decision to go public, paid off in ways she never expected. Her story was featured in the local news, and within days, she received calls from other victims of the same scam. Together, they provided investigators with enough information to track down the criminals. But the real breakthrough came when Margaret remembered something crucial. During the call, she had heard background noise that she initially dismissed, what sounded like a radio playing in Spanish and a dog barking. She mentioned this detail to investigators who were able to use it to narrow down the scammer's location. 6 months after Margaret lost her money, the FBI arrested 5 people involved in the scam operation. And in a rare victory for scam victims, Margaret recovered almost all of her $8,500. The lessons learned. Margaret's experience taught her valuable lessons that she now shares with other older adults. First, scammers are professionals who study human psychology. They know exactly what words to use, what emotions to trigger, and how to create believable scenarios. Second, these criminals specifically target grandparents because they understand the powerful instinct to protect grandchildren. They create stories designed to bypass logical thinking and trigger immediate emotional responses. Third, they always create urgency and secrecy. Real emergencies involving family members don't require you to keep secrets or act within impossible timeframes. Final thoughts. Margaret's story reminds us that intelligence and education don't make us immune to scams. These criminals are skilled at exploiting our deepest emotions and strongest relationships. But Margaret also shows us that victims don't have to stay silent or powerless. If you receive a call claiming a loved one is in trouble, hang up and call that person directly. If someone demands immediate money transfers or asks you to keep secrets from family, that's a red flag. And if you do become a victim, report it immediately. You might not only get your money back, you might help protect others from the same criminals. Remember, the people who love you want you to verify their emergencies. Real family members would never ask you to risk your financial security based on a single phone call. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.